Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report, because without you guys, this just doesn't work. And welcome to this morning's edition of Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, because you literally can't sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, because things always happen late in the evening, late at night, hell, in the middle of the night. And we want to bring you up to speed. Well, last night we did our live stream. Shout out to everybody that came in, all the great questions, comments, and the super chats and stuff. All those super chats are going towards our road trip to the draft that we are leaving literally 2 weeks from tonight. I can't believe that it's here. It seems like we were talking about this for months, and literally I only got 2 weeks to finish getting this thing together. And I'm hoping we can pull this thing off, but it should be a really, really cool event. But be that as it may, last night, a report came out on 12 Up, which is probably about right, which said that Jerry Jones will be the final say about meeting with Dez Bryant. There's some people that think he needs to go. There's some that seem to think that he needs to stay, but nobody wants to make that call. They're going to leave that up to Jerry. Now, here's the thing. I think, honestly, the worst thing to do would be to say, Dez, you've got to take a pay cut. Because he's the only person on your team you're asking to take a pay cut. There's other guys over there that have high salaries that, could use a pay cut as well. Either you cut him or you keep him at the current salary. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't try and say, we want you to work for half the money. So when we talked about possibility of the Cowboys thinking about trying to make a move for Earl Thomas, everybody says you don't have money to do that. We're dead broke. Well, we said that before we signed for 7 free agents, correct? Now, I understand that, of course, a contract for like Earl Thomas, and I'm not saying that Earl Thomas is the answer for us. I'm putting out there what are possibilities, so that way we can try and figure out what's going on. If they wanted to sign him, they could very easily do that. They can get money if they really want to. One, of course, is if Dez is cut and made it June 1st, that's $12.5 million right there. There's probably going to be some other guys that may be June 1st cuts. But even if you're not trying to wait until then, the easiest way to get some money is come up with a long-term deal for DeMarcus Lawrence. He's a $17 million cap hit because he's on a franchise tag. When we signed Jaylon Smith to his $97 million contract, his first year's cap number was only like $5 million, because you end up prorating the guaranteed money and the salary cap over the life of the deal. And you make that first year salary actually very low. So if they wanted to, they could get a team-friendly deal that might cost them about $5 or $6 million for this season, get him signed, and have another $10, $11 million to play with. They could do the same thing with Zach Martin. So when people tell you there's no money that they can have to do anything, that's BS. There's plenty of ways to get money. The question is, are you going to mortgage the future to do that? You're better off going to Starbucks and paying for that latte today than putting it on a credit card and paying interest for it 6 months down the road. But if you really want that latte, you can have it today. It just costs you more. So as we get ready for the draft, we know that we've brought in 17 wide receivers. If there's one thing that I can look at with our Dallas Cowboys and say is they've taken care of the offense too much. You can't argue with their offense, over the last 10, 12 years being, in the top 10 pretty much every year. The offense is doing great. It's the defense that is always the redheaded stepchild. It's the defense that kind of gets the leftovers or the leave-ins. It's the defense that basically gets underspent and only gets about a third of the cap. It's the defense that you pray is not on the field in crunch time. It's the defense that you say, our offense is going to be so good that we're going to protect our defense. And I'm sick and tired of protecting the defense. We've got plenty of defensive ends. We've actually got great competition in there between Kona Ely being added there, Tyrone Crawford, DeMarcus Lawrence, David Irving. Missing one other guy that's in there as well. But we have plenty of competition. The problem is we're soft in the middle. We have Malik Collins. We put David Irving in there, who is really undersized to be a defensive tackle. We need big, fat guys in the middle. Now, they've looked at Vita Vea and Deron Payne and a couple other guys, so maybe we'll try to address that situation. But where I am really concerned with, besides safety, we all know I believe we need a lights-out safety. But we haven't really talked much about linebacker. Sean Lee, I love Sean Lee. Sean Lee, the fact that he remembers Joe Boo and came over and greeted him at the autograph signing was fantastic. In fact, maybe I should give Joe Boo to Sean Lee like he asked. But Sean Lee gets dinged up a couple of games every year. And we got to be prepared for that. When he's there, one of the best linebackers in football. With the loss of Hitchens, that's a big loss. That's one of those quiet ones that not too many people are really talking about. But that's big because he was kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You know, he's got your bottle opener. He's got your blade. You know, he's got your toothpick. You can plug him in anywhere you needed. We don't have that guy. We got Jaylon Smith, who now you're going to have as a strong side linebacker. And Jaylon, which surprised me, was the only linebacker who played in all 16 games last year. Second in the team in tackles. But I still have concerns about Jaylon Smith. Jaylon Smith did a phenomenal job with what he had to work with. You can see that he has the mentality, the skills, and the instinct to be a great linebacker. But he cannot plant his foot and change directions. He cannot go there with force. Now, here's the thing. He's great in spot duty. He's great if you say, this is your hole. We want you to go to that spot with force. He can get there. Boom. But when you have him in coverage, he's a liability. He cannot stop, see a guy, and then change directions and cover him. We saw that early in the season, and that's where he played better as the season went on when he wasn't required to play every single down. So you have to plan for that as well. If we don't, we're going to be back to we need to protect our defense. We need a safety. Kevon Frazier, I think he's going to be really good. Jeff Heath plays good in spots, but I don't think he's an every down safety. He takes bad angles on receivers. Yes, he's been in the right place and picked up 3 interceptions this past season. But I see him too many times chasing guys like this where he's trying to catch up. You want a safety that can get in that box, who can keep his eyes downfield, who can close the gap, a guy who can be run support and make tackles, a guy who, when I got to go across the middle, I'm looking to see where's that guy because I'm worried about my head being taken off. We are soft down the middle on the defense. I've been preaching it this year, last year, the year before, and that is the number one problem with our defense. We've got really good corners. We've got good defensive ends. Great outside, but we got the middle of the field that's wide open. And if you don't control the middle of that field, well, teams are going to beat the heck out of you. Quarterbacks are going to be able to step up in the pocket and get past the wash of the defensive ends. With a linebacker who can't stop and cut, the short passes, the slants down the middle, you're susceptible to. Without that safety, you're not getting that guy who's helping to close on double coverage for that deep, deep threat. So that's my concerns on today. I'm hoping we're going to address it. I know the Cowboys have 10 draft picks to work with. Hopefully, we have a stellar draft. But no matter how hard you try, you're not going to fix all the holes. And that's where coaching comes in. You coach with the players that you have on the field, and you put them in positions to win. And that, my friends, is a conversation for another time. I'm Mark Holmes. This is Cowboy Joe Boo, and thank you guys for all your support. And I will see you soon. I've got to actually head back down to Waynesboro and do some work, and we'll be on the road. So I'm going to grab Michael Anthony Fitness, make sure the dogs are fed, and we are out. Peace.